Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are looking at some absolutely fascinating source material that challenges a massive myth, probably one of the most widely believed myths out there. It's this idea that once you turn 18, your physical height is just permanently locked in forever. Most people walk into adulthood believing that no matter what they eat, or no matter how hard they train, the book is completely closed on their growth. But what if that core belief is just fundamentally wrong? Seriously, what if your height actually isn't locked? I mean, what if your bones are nowhere near as finished as society tells us they are? What if the precise way you move, train, and fuel your body could literally change your skeletal structure? Our source material today claims that you can actually force your body to adapt, and we're going to break down exactly how this fascinating physiological process is said to work. Okay, let's dive straight into this. Here is our blueprint for today. We'll be covering the 18-year height myth, hormones and growth plates, Wolff's Law, adaptive remodeling through cycling, jumping, and microstresses, and finally, essential nutrition. Right, starting with part 1, the 18-year height myth, and exactly why most people stop growing. So traditionally, we're taught that height all comes down to your growth plates. You know, those softer areas at the ends of your long bones. For most guys, the science shows these plates start closing up between the ages of 18 and 20. And once they shut, well, traditional growth completely stops, which is why pretty much everyone just assumes the window is closed for good. But here is the huge biological loophole our sources highlight. Growth plates absolutely do not close at the exact same speed for everyone. And surprisingly, this has very little to do with your genetics and literally everything to do with your hormones. Which brings us to part 2, hormones and growth plates, basically the biological controllers. Okay, look at this. The main culprit that actually forces those growth plates to close is estrogen. And yes, believe it or not, this applies to men too. High estrogen actively speeds up growth plate closure. But on the flip side, high testosterone and high growth hormone, they keep those growth plates active for way longer. Think about it. This perfectly explains why girls in middle school often shoot up and grow super fast early on because of earlier estrogen spikes, right? But then boys eventually overtake them later when their testosterone and growth hormone really kick into high gear, keeping their skeletal plates open longer. So, to naturally lower estrogen and boost that testosterone, the source material gives us a clear action plan. First, avoid excess soy products, things like tofu and soy milk. Second, train your lower body hard. Sweat often through sports, running, or jumping rope to really stimulate that growth hormone. And third, load up on zinc and protein-rich foods. Think eggs, chicken, lentils, and pumpkin seeds. Now, to be clear, doing this doesn't guarantee you'll sprout up overnight for sure, but it perfectly sets up that fundamental biological environment your body actually needs to grow. Moving on to part 3, Wolff's Law and living bones. This is a real paradigm shift. Okay, it's time to completely change how we think about our skeleton. You have to stop thinking of your bones as just dead wooden sticks. Wolff's Law is a super well-established scientific principle that states bones remodel and adapt based on the exact physical stress placed upon them. So the crucial point here is that if you apply the right kind of targeted physical stress consistently, day in and day out, your bones literally change their shape and density over time to handle that stress better. For real-world proof of this, just look at professional tennis players. They consistently build a visibly thicker bone structure in their dominant racket arm compared to their non-dominant one. Or even more mind-blowing, professional arm wrestlers can literally develop one arm that is measurably longer than the other after years of training. I mean, sure, it makes buying dress shirts a total nightmare, but it absolutely proves that the human body is a master of physical adaptation. All right, part 4, adaptive remodeling through cycling, also known as the Dutch secret. So the Netherlands boasts one of the absolute tallest populations on Earth. And what's a core defining characteristic of their culture? Cycling. But it's not just a weekend hobby over there. It's a fundamental everyday lifestyle. From a super young age, they are constantly on bikes, putting their legs through these daily repetitive extension motions. And this isn't just a cardio workout. This cultural habit actually has a massive impact on the structural development of their entire population. The source actually outlines how you can replicate that exact effect with a really practical blueprint. Step 1, raise your bike seat up high. Step 2, ensure your seat is positioned so that your leg is almost completely straight at the very lowest point of the pedal rotation. And step 3, repeat this daily. When you cycle with this slightly exaggerated setup, your legs fully extend and stretch with every single pedal stroke. This repeated, consistent stretch literally signals the bone to adapt to the demand, a biological process known as adaptive remodeling. Let's look at part 5, jumping and microstresses, or the Maasai method. A really perfect example of impact-stimulating growth is the fascinating story of the Maasai tribe in Africa. They are world famous not just for their extreme height, but for their incredibly powerful vertical jumps. A huge part of their daily life and cultural practice actually involves constant rhythmic jumping. And this isn't just some genetic coincidence. It's an undeniable living example of how specific, repetitive physical behaviors actively shape the human skeleton over an extended period of time. And this brilliantly illustrates a really fascinating underlying mechanic. See, jumping creates tiny, highly controlled microstresses in your shin bones. Essentially, you're causing microscopic damage to the living tissue. But here's the absolute magic of the human body. As your system repairs that microstress, it overcompensates slightly to make the bone stronger. And in that repair process, the bone can actually slightly lengthen. It's just a brilliant cycle of strategic stress followed by biological repair. So here's the specific jumping protocol derived from the source. First, you want to aim for 3 sets of 30 jumps per day. Second, and this is absolutely crucial, land softly. You want to control the stress to stimulate the bone, not shatter your joints. And third, combine this daily jumping with the cycling we just talked about, along with proper sleep and recovery. What's so vital to understand here is that this specific method relies purely on continuous bone adaptation. It does not require your traditional growth plates to be completely open. Finally, we reach part 6, essential nutrition for growth, which is all about fueling the system. Now, I have to warn you right now, absolutely none of the physical exercises we just covered will work at all if your body lacks the raw materials it needs to rebuild. It's like trying to build a house without bricks. You need vitamin D, ideally sourced from daily sunlight. You absolutely must have calcium and protein to provide the actual physical structure for the new bone. You need healthy fats to optimize and create those hormones we talked about in stage 1. And importantly, you need boron, which is a crucial element that helps your body actually use that vitamin D properly. Even a minor deficiency in any of these building blocks can completely roadblock your progress. To fuel that intense remodeling process, the source highlights some specific, nutrient-dense power foods you should definitely be eating. We're talking whole milk, red meat, eggs, nuts, raisins, and avocados. You have to actively feed the system if you are demanding it to grow and adapt. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful quote straight from today's source material. Treat your body like a system that adapts. Your body is literally a masterpiece of biology, constantly and silently reacting to the demands you place on it every single day. So what physical limits have you passively accepted about yourself simply because you've never truly tested them? Challenge the system, provide the right stress, feed it the optimal fuel, and find out what you're actually capable of. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.